The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all been waiting for all summer. Ring Around the Jabroni returns for the Tournament of Champions. Tonight is night one of the 3-week series. All former champions joining us. Tonight we got Jeff, we got Jay, and we got Curtis all joining us here, all past winners. How is everybody tonight?
Busy as hell, but doing well. How's everyone else?
I'm doing okay. I'm here. I made it through a work day, made it through Monday. So that's a big thing.
The hard part is over.
Sounds like everybody. Say what?
I said, sounds like the hard part's over.
Yeah. Everybody has a case of the Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay. We'll be all right.
All right. So for those who have forgotten or just kind of re-go over the rules, or if you're new to us and joining us for the first time, Ring Around the Jabroni works a lot like Around the Horn you see on ESPN. I've got topics for everybody. Everybody will get to answer. We'll take turns. Who goes first? At the end of each question, 2 people will be awarded a point. After 6 questions, top 2 points move on to the final question. The overall winner moves on to the Grand Championship in just a few weeks. All right. And, of course, we give everybody a chance to promote what they got going on. Jeff, why don't you go first? What's going on with you?
Well, let's see. Well, we got a lot going on right now. We're getting ready to start season 4 of the Meltdown Community Predictions League, or what it's now called MWL. And that'll be starting up the week of October 9th. And right now, ending the brackets, we've got down to 4 people. So a couple more weeks of brackets, and then we're ready to go for season 4. Always looking for more people. So, hit me up if you would like to be a part of it.
And, of course, we will throw the link down in the description of the video, which will be on YouTube. And, of course, all our audio podcasts tomorrow. You can give that a re-listen. All right, awesome. Question 1. Jeff, we'll start with you on this one. Claudio recently on the Kurt Angle Show podcast talked about his respect for working with John Cena and of the man himself, and regarding his theory about being only as good as your last match. Do you agree or disagree that your last match can make or break your current reputation?
Oh, geez, that's a good question. I believe that statement holds true, because when fans go to see you, that's technically your last match until your next one. And if they don't think that you did a very good job, or you don't think you did a very good job, I mean, obviously the fans are going to know. And I think, little by little, you get better and better at what you do. Eventually you're going to start going downhill. And that's when you want to question, okay, is this really, is it time for me to hang it up? Because that's usually around the time that you want to think that. But I agree. I think that, you are as good as your last match. And each time you go out, you have to make it better than the last time you went out. And to me, a lot of times in wrestling, I have seen that. I mean, when I think that someone can't outdo what they've done the week prior, I've been proven wrong. So I believe absolutely that this statement does hold true.
Very good. Curtis?
Well, I mean, look what happened to Ric Flair and how many times that he said he was done, and then he came back, and then he was done, and then he came back. And really, he should have been done when Shawn Michaels ended his career at WrestleMania. That was the perfect swan song. Bow my head down. I'm leaving the ring. I'm no longer doing this. I will keep my word. And even Shawn went back on his word too, even after years of not being in ring activity. And that match with Undertaker and Kane was just piss poor, and was just a horrible last way to really go out again. And you can even see it on every single one of their faces that they were just like, oh, fuck this shit. But no, I also believe that the theory holds weight, because it's just, there's just some last matches that should stay last matches. And Ric Flair could be one, Shawn Michaels could be another. Like Shawn really should have also ended it with The Undertaker. That was a perfect way to end off on your career, and you held water to that, and then you'd backtrack. And I get that. You want that spotlight again. You miss that spotlight when you take something that someone loves and then you rip it away. Of course they're going to miss it no matter how long they go away from it. So I get the itch to get back into the fold of things, but yeah, there's just sometimes when you leave on the perfect note, you shouldn't come back. Like even I could even make arguments, and I've even made arguments with on my Wrestle Age podcast that CM Punk should have pissed off away when he left, because look what he's doing now. Everyone went from "you're the best in the world" to maybe you weren't as great as you said you were, and that could be a hot take on my part, but I just think that sometimes you should just hang it up. When you have that perfect ending, just hang it up. We can't all be Sting and Gold Dust. We can't all be Dustin and be in like a stupid age, but be able to hang with every single one of the young guys. It's just not for everyone. So for the most part, yes, I agree. It's a way, but then also you see people like Sting and Dustin, and then there's like some people could still go.
Totally agree. Very good, valid points there, Curtis. Jay, what say you?
I do not believe that that's true. You're not as good as your last match, because if that's true, Ric Flair is not the greatest wrestler of all time. His last match was absolute dog shit, but there was still a packed arena. There was still 30,000 buys on Fight TV to watch him wrestle. I bought it to watch him wrestle, knowing what I was going to get. So, no, you're not as good as your last match. You're as good as your legacy. And Ric Flair's legacy, to be the man, you have to beat the man. That's who he was. That last match isn't Ric Flair. That last match was Ric Flair wanting to get that itch out. I agree and I understand with needing to get that itch out. But that last match doesn't define his career. Edge's last match against Alberto Del Rio, when he had to come out, relinquish the title, and said, "Hey, I'm done." Perfect swan song. Injuries got to him. But if he stopped there, we don't get the Edge that we have now. Edge's last match, yeah, that could have defined his career. Finally went from tag team specialist to main guy and had to retire due to injury. But now we have Edge back, and he's doing some of the best character work that he's done in his whole career. And there's no one questioning, can Edge go? Sting's proverbial last match in the WWE, where they buried him like everything in WCW just for fucking shits and giggles, that's not going to have you saying, "Oh, well, Sting must have really not been that great." No, he is the icon, the man they call Sting, who is now in AEW ripping it up after what would have supposedly been his last match. So the ideal that your last match is, you're only as good as your last match, to me, holds weight with fair weather fans, people who can't see that, one match doesn't define a career. You're not going to look at somebody and say, "Wow, you know what? This kid can really go. Had a hell of a match. He might be the best of all time." It takes years and it takes years and it takes dedication and it takes those matches. It takes those 5 stars to say somebody like, "Hey, this kid's got something." You don't just do it after one match. So if you don't earn it in one match, why do you lose it in one match?
But at the same time, someone can look at someone's bad match and then go back into a career and then say that maybe they weren't as great as they were touted to be. And I'm not saying like Ric Flair was like that. No, Ric Flair was fucking amazing for many different reasons. But then you look on the counterpoint where it's just like, okay, look at someone like CM Punk, for example. CM Punk was one of the greatest like talkers in the world. But his ring performance really didn't match up his mic skills, and never did. But he always called himself the best in the world. People always called him the best in the world. When he left WWE, he was the best in the world. But then he comes to AEW and he's a bit of a flop, and he keeps injuring himself and taking it out on. He's in a completely different environment than he was 7 years ago, and that's making people go back to the Cena promos, the other promos, and being like, people were calling him out years ago on just how not great he is and how selfish he is. And now it comes to light. And now people are seeing and scrutinizing some of his work in the past. I'd be like, maybe he wasn't as great as he said it was. And you know what? If he never came back to AEW, no one would have ever done that.
CM Punk
So-
is the exception that proves the rule, because CM Punk, and that's the whole issue. You have to go back and say, wow, he really didn't have it in the ring. He had it on the mouth, and he tricked us marks into believing he had it
Yeah.
in the ring when he never
Mhm.
did.
That's why I think both sides of the equation are valid, because it's
Look,
just like depending on the situation.
If that's the way it worked, Enzo Amore would be the best wrestler on the face of the world, because he's, the shit talker Skywalker. He could talk better than all of them, but that's not the way it works,
Well, we're just describing the IWC at that point.
aren't we? Though.
All right, we'll move on to points. Curtis, you're getting a point because you have plenty of great points there. Jay, getting the other point. Flop into the other side of the coin with some good, excellent points. So there we go. First points of the night. Curtis, you got first crack at question 2.
Alrighty.
Steve Austin names WWE's biggest draw other than Roman Reigns currently as Brock Lesnar. Is there anyone that's a bigger draw than Roman and Brock? Or did he hit this one right on the head?
This is what bugs me about draw. What are we talking about here? Are we talking about ticket sales? Are we talking about fandom like the IWC? Are we talking about pay-per-view buys? What are we defining on draw here? Because in WWE's biggest draw, we can understand, okay, that's the pop and that's the ratings, that's the people, that's mainly the merch. Oh, they're selling a crap load of merch. Oh, they're the biggest draw in WWE. There's no one ever bigger than this. But then on the flip side of the coin, I feel like Kenny Omega for years was one of the biggest draws on the indie scene, because he was just doing everything. He was making Japan actually be noticed into the States. He was making Bullet Club be noticed more when it fell off and came back again. And now we see the fluctuations and everything. So I find this whole biggest draw thing bugs me. So just because, what do we define a draw? If I have to give names, I would say Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, Daniel Garcia starting to really, really get out there, and I really feel like he could be really successful. But your biggest draws, like, it really depends on your promotion and what you're watching, because everyone is going to define their biggest draws differently. So it may be a little bit of a safe answer, but I really just don't like Steve Austin's just being like, these two are the biggest draws. Yes, within WWE, but pull them out anywhere else, are they going to be the biggest draws? So it really depends. But I'd say, just to give an answer, Kenny Omega, just because everyone talks about him constantly everywhere he goes, and when he's coming back, and then when he came back, he got the biggest pop. I would say even Jungle Boy's really fucking over there. Will Ospreay's really over there. There's so many people I could give you names for that I would say are just on the level, but it's on a whole different environment. So really depends on your biggest draw. These two may actually have an actual answer for them, but but even before they answer, I counter where it's just like, what do you define as a draw?
Very good. Jay.
Buddy, I love you to death. And the question was, in WWE, Austin said those two are the biggest. Who, if anybody, can be bigger than them two in a draw? And I'll tell you who the bigger
like,
draw.
is there anyone bigger? It says WWE's
Oh, yeah.
biggest draw. They didn't define who is the biggest draw in WWE. It says, is there anyone bigger than these two?
In WWE, is the question specifically in WWE, or are we going to break it out to all wrestling? Because I'll give you two answers.
See, because
The question was more towards WWE, but we can break it out towards internet or wrestling in general.
Okay, fantastic. I'll go WWE first, and I'll give you about a minute of each so I can give both answers within the time frame. In WWE, they have that next big draw, someone that's going to be bigger than Brock Lesnar, bigger than Roman Reigns, and his time is actually soon. It's building already. His time has been building, and his comeback from injury is going to prove how big of a draw he is, and that's Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes, torn pectoral match, told you everything you needed about the next draw in WWE. that he not only does he have the lineage, that's the son of a plumber. He's the American nightmare, son of the American dream. People want to get behind Cody, and the WWE fans who hated him in AEW, now he's back to WWE, love him again. The man is super over. His pop at Mania was super over. His entrances since he's been super over. Coming out there with his pec looking like he was about to have it ripped off of his chest got him super over. And mark my words, when he comes back at the Royal Rumble in San Antonio, Texas in next year, and he wins, that's your next big draw in the company. Moving off of WWE, there's a lot of people who hold the title of being the guy in their corporations. New Japan, of course, has Will Ospreay, who they don't ever treat as the guy, but he's the guy.
He is.
They like to parade around Switchblade Jay White as maybe being the guy. Okada, some reason, is still the guy. But the guy in New Japan is Will Ospreay. Hands down, it's Ospreay.
100%.
AEW is Kenny Omega, the best bout machine. There's nobody that's going to be able to cover the best bout machine. He has matches with anybody and everybody, and they're great. So you're looking at AEW, it's Kenny Omega. You go into other places, some other small promotions, and you have guys like, I don't know, Alexander Hammerstone is the guy for MLW. He shares that distinction with Fatu, who is an amazing beast himself, Jacob Fatu. And you kind of see a trend where there can be guys that hold their individual promotions. But to me, when it comes into who is the biggest draw, who can be bigger than Brock and who can be bigger than Roman, it's the belt collector. A guy who took his title, who took Impact's title, who took AAA Mega title, and was a simultaneous champion between 3 different companies and the main champions. This isn't your TV title, your Intercontinental title. No, this is the man between 3 different shows at the same time, 3 different companies. Your overall draw is Kenny Omega.
Yep.
Boom.
I knew right where you're going. Right, I knew you were going to say Cody Rhodes. I knew it was coming.
I'm a Cody.
Also a good answer. Jeff, your thoughts?
Jay, I'm telling you. Well, I agree with Cody. I will completely agree with Cody when it comes to WWE and one of the biggest draws. But right now, that's not the case. Right now, you're looking at 2 people, I think. You're looking at Drew McIntyre, and you're looking at Gunther. I believe he is a huge draw. People love to see Gunther. I love to see, and I hate the fact I'm even calling him Gunther. But I think these 2, and it's one for each show, so it kind of makes sense. I think these are your 2 biggest draws right now, other than Roman, because, well, where's Brock? He's not there now. So, of course, they're not raking in the money for him. But I believe these 2 are the ones to really look out for when it comes to a draw until Cody comes. Then, obviously the card might flip. Yeah, and it could be Cody, obviously, and I very well think it will be. But right now, if you were to put a biggest draw on anybody in WWE, and it may not be as big as Brock Lesnar, as big as Roman Reigns, but you got to go with Drew and you got to go with Gunther.
If it was Drew, he would have won that Clash. The WWE doesn't believe in Drew. They let him be champion while they were at home in quarantine and haven't done much with him since. The WWE killed Drew. I would have loved it to be Drew, but
they're not believing in anybody other than Roman. So, I mean, right now, it's just not even Seth Rollins, who's become now one of the biggest jobbers out there, which makes me sick, to be honest, completely honest.
It's the dancing for me.
Who's be a big star? Not in the next 2 or 3 years, but let's go 6, 7 years in a row. I think it's going to be Braun Breaker.
Yes,
he's going to be big.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think he's going to shine brighter than the other Steiners. I think he's going to shine brighter than Rick, brighter than Scott.
I agree. Solely based on the fact that it's going to be easier to shine as a single star than as a tag team.
I'll even throw Gargano in there as potential.
There we go.
Mm-hmm. For points, we'll go with Jeff and Jay on this one. I'm going to throw a comment in here we got from Twitch, from WrestleStock joining us. CM Punk couldn't fight himself out of a wet paper bag. That's not true. If he did, he'd probably tore his pec or bicep again. Curtis, now is your time to shine. What do you got going on? What do you want to promote?
Okay, so this Sunday I have a show in Etobicoke, Toronto, Ontario, which is New Frontier presents Worlds Collide. It's PWO. It's a collaboration with 3 different promotions. It's going to be a really fun show, really stacked. You can check out New Frontier Pros social medias for the card on that. I also have a new podcast now since the last time I've been on here, which is called the Wrestle Rage Podcast, which is myself, Charlie Bruno, and JMB, which those 2 are also very notorious within the mascot and cosplay scene. We like to get angry. We like to give AEW and WWE flack whenever they screw up in our eyes. And believe me, in Clash of the Castle episode, which releases in like a half hour, I gave them a lot of flack. And then, of course, for the last like 20 weeks, I have been doing a yoga program, which is because I no longer do Gumby and I have my own original character, which I will show you right here. He's called Fuzz Buttons, and he's a little he's like a rabbit, and I teach people yoga in him 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Furry yoga, which we have shirts and merchandise, and it's been a 20-week program. We have over 30 members and over 25 sessions. It's a free program every single week. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Sundays. We do them on live streams and also in person. And we just did Fan Expo Canada 2 days doing those and just getting people involved in it. It's such a fun thing that I'm very passionate about. And I love helping people in their mental and physical health. So if you want to know more about that, it's furryyoga.com. And like I said, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 11 a.m. or 6 p.m. You can check my social medias for that. We're usually 11 a.m. though. That's basically what I got going on. I've been doing for the last like 21 weeks now. So like I said, you want to know more, furryyoga.com.
All right, and of course we will throw the description or the links down in the video description. So stay tuned for that. Question 3, Jay, you're going first. Are you ready? AEW's rating streak of 1 million plus viewers is at 5 weeks now. What can they do to continue the streak?
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I say this as an AEW fan. Absolutely nothing. The streak continued because everyone wanted to see the all-out fallout. They wanted to see how we were going to deal with the world title. What are we going to say about the trios title? Are we going to mention the Elite? Are we going to mention CM Punk? And sadly, the episode was actually a really good episode last week.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of all of the, what ifs. In the last 5 weeks, they've been putting on really good shows. I would wager to say that the shows that have been put on were way better than the All Out pay-per-view. I think there will be a dip this week going into Arthur Ashe. Arthur Ashe, of course, is going to get the perennial bump for being a special feature type of deal. But I don't see anything being sustainable right now. I need more MJF. You need those people to kind of keep your show rolling. They don't have a women's champion that's liked right now. If you don't believe me, listen to the crowd at All Out. They were all over Hater. The decision not to pull the trigger on the Acclaimed went over like a wet fart. Crowd was super hot for the Acclaimed. That actually killed the crowd for the rest of the pay-per-view if you paid attention. There is no world champion, vacant. Whenever vacant hold the title, it's kind of hard to keep ratings up. And we're basically getting matchups that we've already seen due to an impromptu title eliminator that, had to happen due to circumstances outside of the control of the company. So, hot take, I say this week doesn't crack 1 million. I say it's a low 9, if anything. But we do get the bump from Arthur Ashe in the next week. So, you get what you can, but it's not going to be 1 million this week.
All right. Jeff, what say you?
I will completely agree with Jay. I believe that we're seeing what Moxley and Guevara this week. We're seeing Jericho and Danielson. Already seen it at least once. And I agree. The pop isn't there for Storm. I mean, I love the fact that she got the title, but I'm noticing the crowd, and I completely agree. All Out, they kind of died out after that, and I don't think that what they've got right now on the card is sustainable to hit 1 million. I think that I agree, probably low 9, mid 9, if they're lucky. But there's nothing real big that's going to happen on this card right now. It's just, Arthur Ashe, I could definitely see it hitting 1 million. Absolutely, I think that's a given. But as far as to breaking the streak, the streak isn't going to continue. It's going to be broken this week. I agree. Low 9 is probably where they're going to sit.
Curtis?
I love you both, but I completely disagree with both of you. And I'm gonna break it down. So if you both say that we've seen these matches over and over again and they're not going to get the ratings. But if that was the case, then why did Hangman Adam Page versus Bryan Danielson end up being such a banger of a match and giving them the over that million view mark?
Arthur Ashe?
No, because in that case, that's also discrediting such a great match that was performing on that. So you can't. So as far as you guys saying that these matches we've already seen over, well, I feel like Hangman versus Danielson was the counterpoint to that, and I feel like both of you, which we're all speculating at this point, but I feel that's very speculation, considering that that match was such an exciting and entertaining, and these guys are on the level where they can give you a new style of match, even though it's a match that you've seen over and over again. My second thing too is you have the excitement of who's going over in the tournament, who's leading up into Grand Slam, who is going to be that defining champion. That's going to keep them riding for the next few weeks due to just that whole excitement of who's going to win. Even if you're not really excited for the actual match itself, you can actually be like, who's moving up in the bracket. I'm going to check out to see who's moving up in the bracket, who's going to be that champion. And then I feel like Death Triangle is going to keep that momentum going with the trios, really making that and cementing that an actual championship, which I feel is actually going to lead to the Dark Order getting more of a push because they're getting more. The Acclaimed, they're going to get those titles off of Swerve. They're going to fix that mistake that they made at All Out, and it's still going to be a pop. Not as big as a pop as it could have been when they should have hit the gun, but they're definitely going to get that pop. You have Garcia, who just won the Pure Championship, and the way that he's getting those reactions, and with the Blackpool Club, I feel like that's going to keep the momentum going. That's another story that everyone seems to be very invested in. And you just have all these storylines, and also Moxley and MJF constantly going at each other's throats is exciting to watch too. It's great to see MJF back. It's just, I feel like there's all these elements on AEW that's going to keep that momentum going until they get that new world champion. Then I feel like they're going to have that drop off after the pay-per-view. Just like every promotion, even WWE, they always have that major pop after the pay-per-view with their views, and then they drop off after a little bit and then pick back up again. The streak won't continue always. We're not in the WCW WWE era where we were in the 3.5 million range. But I feel like because of all the momentum they're building, I feel they're going to keep that streak going at least until they crown their champion.
Very good points. I think Curtis has earned himself a point there. And I think the other point goes to Jeff on this one.
Oh, we all tied up.
Dun, dun, dun.
Jeff, we are back to you going first here. We're going to stick with the AEW theme. AEW has filed a House of Black trademark finally. It appears the faction will continue without Malachi Black. Who should be the new leader?
Oh, good Lord. Oh,
I'm going to do with the hard questions.
Yeah, I guess so. Honestly, I have no idea. It just, if you're gonna have House of Black, you would think who can replace Malachi? That's the only question. I mean, some people could go as far as saying maybe Wyndham Rotunda, taking the evil side, kind of like what Malachi Black has. You could go as far as to saying that, but we don't even know where the heck he's going. I don't even think knows where he's going. That is a possibility. You could even go as far as to having someone who's currently in a faction turn on their faction and join them. And as maniacal as he is, it wouldn't shock me if it was someone like Pac. I mean, he has this evil side, and we've seen it. Where he could easily, at least temporarily, take the place of being a leader, because he's been around this business for years. He knows what he's doing. He can easily be a leader. I mean, heck, he's pretty much the leader right now in Death Triangle. I mean, he's the one that's always talking about this and talking about that. He's the one that's coming forward and actually speaking. I mean, not because the others can't, but I think he would be a perfect leader as well, and that is if someone was to turn on who they're with. So, I mean, Pac could be a very good candidate for that. But honestly, I wouldn't want to see a leader until we see Malachi back. I really wouldn't. It's not going to be the same. It's like having Dark Order have a leader and it not being Brody. It can't happen. Malachi is the leader. And I think personally there shouldn't be one. But if you were, those are my two options right there.
Okay. Curtis, what do you think?
I tend to agree. I really don't think they should have, or nor do they feel like they need to have a leader, especially without Malachi Black, because he's really the origins of that. And we've seen, like with other factions, when they flip-flop leaders like Bullet Club, the inconsistencies with storyline and just how they're built up, where that goes to. If I was going to choose anyone, and I really just don't feel like anyone in the AEW mold right now just fits that mold for leader of House of Black. Especially with just how many times they've stricken everyone in AEW and caused storms and just feuds with people and just attacking everyone. I just Pac could be one. Like, I could definitely see that, but if they're gonna do that, I want them to bring in all of Death Triangle, not break up Death Triangle, because I just feel like you don't need to break up a really good faction in order to build a new faction or a pre-existing faction up. Just build your faction bigger at that point, then you just have trios representation on that. I feel like the House of Black would be better without a leader, and they could just be a collective unit like how Bullet Club runs. Now, they may run into some inconsistencies. If you're going to have a leader, though, I think you should reach outside the AEW bubble and either try to grab someone that would fit that mold. Maybe like even look at Wyatt, because he's still free, or as far as we know, everything's just been speculation. So I'm not even going to say, oh, well, WWE may be talking to him, and that's all rumors right now. Until something's confirmed, that's all speculation and rumors, much like we're doing now. But I just feel like the House of Black would be more beneficial just being a collective unit without a leader. If you have to pick one, yeah, I think all of Death Triangle should join House of Black if you got to add some members, because they could add to that faction overall, get them some wins, and actually get them some titles within that group, so then everyone else can shine off of it.
Jay, before we get to your answer, there's a comment for you in the chat. Dennis Day Jr. on a future episode wants you to do their podcast proud. Now, with that pressure, answer the question. How do you feel?
With that pressure, the right answer is nobody. There should not be a leader of House of Black. Gun to my head, and you have to pick one. It needs to be Brody. Brody is the second person brought into House of Black. Brody should assume the role of leader if they have to have one inside of AEW. I do like the thought of them being leaderless the way that the Dark Order is, but I want to see them recruit, and I want them to bring in somebody that I think lately the storyline is kind of weird with a will he, won't he, what is he doing kind of situation. And I would love to see Preston Vance in the House of Black. Um, Give him more of a darker tone, akin to kind of what they did with Julia Hart. I think it could really work. Preston's a great worker. Once he's healed up, I think that could be a good one. And with him being hurt right now, perfect opportunity to try to do that whole turn and make it vignettes. And when the time he arrives, boom, it's the new Preston Vance, new member of House of Black. Now, that's staying within AEW confines. Leaderless, add Preston Vance, call it a day. Outside of AEW, I think the surefire choice is somebody that already knows how to work with Brody King. The thing with Aleister Black is him and Brody had tagged already, and they look crisp when they work together. I want that same crispness. I want somebody that I know is going to be able to look good with this guy and Buddy. So give me Vincent. Vincent screams House of Black to me. And yes, he's part of the Impact, anti ROH team, but if you listen to the dirt sheets, a lot of them are working on handshake deals, especially with some of the issues going on in Impact. There could be some people looking to maybe cut tail and do something else. I see Vincent with, you know, just this aura about him, kind of akin to what he had in the Kingdom. There's just that feeling that Vincent's out of his mind, and I think give him a darker tone, he fits in with House of Black. So if I have to say anybody inside AEW, give me leaderless, added Preston Vance. Outside, I think Vincent is the killer choice.
I'll give you two names that kind of came to mind with me. They could go storyline with, who ran Malachi Black out of AEW, which could be Sting taking his place, or now a heel Luchasaurus, now that Christian Cage is kind of out of the picture with his injury. Either one of those could fit. Let's see where they take it. As far as points, we'll go with Jeff here. And I would say Jay as well for bringing in a new idea. Okay. Jay, your time for a promo. Let's hear what you got.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know me. I'm here a lot on Buckle Bomb Entertainment. I do Awkward Taste with Sarah up there. Shoot, I'll jump in, ring around the Jabroni every once in a while, like we're doing here on the championship run. Try to do some other shows if I can with Buckle Bomb, but outside of Buckle Bomb, you can find me on the Johners Podcasting Network with my show Shooting Shit, along with Dennis Day Jr. and the premier Joey K. We give you roughly an hour worth of shoots and hot takes on the current product. We hit a little bit of everything. If we're really jazzed up about something, we'll give you 2 full hours to sit back and enjoy. But that's all about it, man. Find us wherever you find your podcast. Shooting Shit, part of the Johners Podcasting Network.
All right, Curtis, you are next up to go first. The Woman Who Would Be King, the Medusa story, is set to be released in 2023. Is this a book that will garner a lot of publicity and reads, or should it? Yes or no?
It really, really depends, because all these books that wrestlers are coming out with, or wrestling themed books, are so hit and miss. I feel like everyone since like the Young Bucks and Moxley came out with really, really good books, everyone's just trying to make a book now. Like, I mean, even Jericho's came out of the womb and made like 2 or 3 books. Since those two have made those books, it's just like, I feel like everyone's chasing the whole book clout now, because books are becoming the thing again. Like Mick Foley when he was making his books in 2003 and getting on the top of fucking Wall Street Journal and everything. Like, like get into 10,000 like sales and everything. I feel like the people who have a great story to tell that is genuine and isn't trying to market it out to be something big like John Moxley did with his story about recovery and just everything that he went through. I would even throw things like like one of my favorite books, Lie, Cheating, and Stealing Death, the Eddie Guerrero story, was very genuine because it felt like he was writing that for like 3 years and knew he was coming to his death. So that was kind of surreal reading through. So I don't think this book is really going to garner a lot of publicity. Should it? I think that really depends on the person that is reading the book and if they're passionate about it. Maybe over time it could get the publicity, but I don't think it's going to garner the publicity that everyone is wanting it to, or that they think it should. Just because, like I said, everyone's chasing the clout of everyone writing books, and just books have become the new thing. Eventually, it's going to die.
Jay.
I loved it. I want to run to the room and grab my mocks. Okay. Good book. Medusa. Her place in wrestling lore is etched in stone. We know who Medusa is. We know Alundra Blaze. We know the title situation. She was one of the first big, jumps that kind of made it a shocking thing. But here's the issue. This is 2022, baby. There's been a lot of history that's happened since those times. And the thing is we've already got a movie about you that flopped, that you couldn't sell to bingo halls or VFWs, which funny thing is the people who made those books that went real well that Curtis was talking about, they started in bingo halls and VFWs, but their books actually sold because they wrote about how they made it in the business, not how the
Exactly.
business screwed them. So I think Medusa, she's if it goes the way of the documentary, it's the woe is me effort. Nobody wants the woe is me. No one wants to hear how somebody who made so much money, who should have been well off, is not doing well, and it's because they screwed me out of this. When your personal choices lead you to where you are. Will it flop? I guarantee it. Will there be a handful of marks that buy it? I guarantee it. Why? Because when this book comes out, Medusa will sign it for you for about $10.
Coming to a
All
Comic Con near you.
Jeff, your thoughts?
Well, me personally, I don't like the Medusa character, so I personally wouldn't buy the book. And I've never seen the movie. I didn't even know there was a movie, to be completely honest with you. So that throws that out the window. I would actually like to get, if she's going to have a book about her, at least have it be about the monster trucks that she's been driving, because that's more entertaining than most of the stuff that that she's done in the ring, and the aura that is Medusa when it comes to wrestling. I personally think that I would be more interested in the monster trucks than wrestling when it comes to her. I mean, Medusa Michelli, whatever her name is at the present time, it could be Alundra Blaze. Who the hell knows? Let's flip a coin and find out, shall we? I think that honestly, her career in monster trucks is more entertaining because I've seen her drive. I've actually seen her live in a monster truck, and she is amazing. This is a side of her I didn't even know she had when she was in the ring, and I think that overpowers her wrestling career, in my opinion. And if she's going to have a book, if she's going to even have a movie, have it be about that. It would definitely get more people interested than it would with her whining and complaining and throwing a belt in the trash. I mean, we already know what went on, but a lot of us don't know the behind the scenes of what she does and the steps she takes when it comes to being in a monster truck. I mean, we don't know. We've seen Gravedigger, we've seen this, but we don't know what's behind the scenes when it comes to her in the monster truck. That would be something that I would like to see personally. But that, of course, is just my opinion.
Breaking news: Jeff likes monster
Mhm.
trucks. I would have
I do.
never saw it. I would have never pegged that.
I love monster trucks. I love demolition derbies. We had one actually up at the Rutland Fair the last weekend, and I didn't get to go, but I've seen videos and stuff about it. I'm like, gosh, I wish I was there. But oh yeah, I love monster trucks.
This
Last
is
time
why
I went
we're
to a
friends.
monster truck show was when I
You
was
know, I
8
think
years
Jeff
old.
deserves a point in that one. All that passion. I didn't know about the
Yes.
monster truck situation either, so that's new to me. So that's learning for me. Curtis, I think, earned a point as well. So point for Curtis. It's still anybody's ballgame with one question left here. Jay, are you ready to answer first?
I am.
And I'm sure I may pronounce this person's last name wrong, but I'm going to give it my best here. Question 6. Jackass's Danger Aaron is set to make his professional wrestling debut. The debut will take place during Halloween weekend in Portland, Oregon at Prestige Wrestling Roseland 4. Do celebrity matches hurt the business or help draw intrigue? You're on the clock, Jay.
Do celebrity matches hurt? Drew Carey hurt the business. Mr. T helped the business. Johnny Knoxville helped the business. That was one of the best things that I have ever seen from a celebrity wrestler of all time. Depends on how you feel. David Arquette both hurt and helped the business. Personally, Arquette lives. You can't kill Arquette, man. Fucking love Arquette. Title, that's my champion. I think it's a mixed bag with celebrities because you've seen lately there's celebrities who get in it for the right reasons. You know, come to mind is Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny came in for the right reasons, didn't look like a scrub. Logan Paul came in, didn't look like a scrub to the point to where people said, "Wow, he has a contract. Maybe he should be pushed a little bit." Then he turns around and decides to do boxing. To me, that kind of sucks. Um, the fans, we know what wrestling is. We don't need someone behind their computer, somebody in the past, and be like, it's fake, right? Fuck you, it's fake. Yeah, it's fake, man. I mean, come on. The floor is real. What they hit is real. The moves are real. The torn muscles are real. All the injuries are real. It's the stories that we watch, and it's poetry in motion. I love that old phrase. It's poetry in motion. And the more eyes, the better. Because if you're telling me that a celebrity isn't going to help, WrestleMania 1 never happens without Mr. T. I'm sorry. It wouldn't have got as many views. It wouldn't have blown up, and we wouldn't have the world that we have now without Mr. T. Can it hurt? Yes. Drew Carey once again. But on a grander scale, marks like myself will point to the Drew Careys. Marks like myself will point to the David Arquette if they don't like him and say that that's killing the business. Well, you know what, Cornette? Eat your double cheeseburger. Leave the guys alone. If they come in it with the right reasons, celebrities definitely help the product because they put eyes on it, gets more people talking about it, and it kind of helps get to where we're at now, where wrestling is resurging because of people like Bad Bunny and Logan Paul and Danger Aaron. I'm 100% with you. You saw Johnny Knoxville do it. You get your ass kicked on that show too. I'm all down with Danger.
Completely agree. Jeff.
Honestly, I would rather see the midget do it more than him. Mind you, he was absolutely amazing. Love the power slam. That was amazing. But I agree. There have been some celebrities who have come in who have they come in and they do the right thing when it comes to wrestling because they respect the business. That's what it's all about, is respect. And you can tell the ones that do, because they put in the time and effort to train. They like your Logan Paul, your Bad Bunny, Mr. T. Then you got the celebrities that come in and just to get a spotlight, like freaking, what the hell was her name? Snooki. Come on. She was horrible. Absolutely horrible. I think she had one good move that she didn't screw up. Yeah, and then you have like Entertainment Tonight, that kind of thing. Marina Menounos tried it. That didn't work. Drew Carey. Yeah, sure. Hi, Kane. Let me go over and step over the rope for you and eliminate myself. Joke. It depends. I mean, Shaq is borderline. I will say that one is borderline. He is good, but he's not that good. You can tell he didn't train. Honestly, when it comes to Jackass, to me, the only one that belongs in that ring right now is Johnny Knoxville. I think that if the others tried, they're going to be like, well, he was better. They're going to try to compare anyone else that comes in from Jackass to Johnny. What if he doesn't do as good? He's the laughing stock of the town. And not that he isn't already, but but I think personally, the only one that should be in the ring, and I would honestly love to see it again, is Johnny. So as far as this, I can't see it. I just can't see it. But I do like the fact they're called Prestige Wrestling. That I will say.
So
Curtis.
So I'm gonna say, first, we weren't talking about who's good and who's bad. We're helping you. Does it hurt the business or does it draw intrigue? So on that front, because we're not strictly talking, okay, well, one person did it and the other, who's better than the other. We're talking about, does it hurt the business or does it draw for the business? I think you're both wrong, and I think all celebrities draw intrigue to whatever product they're going to, because they get people to buy tickets. They get people, the casual, to actually tune into the show. You may say Drew Carey being thrown over the top rope was trash, but how many times has it been shown in the history of WWE, and how much money did they draw just for having Drew Carey literally come out and be thrown over the top rope for Kane? It's been a moment for Kane basically his entire goddamn career. The celebrity's whole point is to get people onto the product, regardless whether they're good, bad, horrible, or anything. Now, the only difference we have now is these celebrities that do come on, for the most part, actually give a shit and are actually trying to train and actually do and put on a good match, or at least an okay to decent match. And that's all we could really ask for from these celebrities who actually want to get into the business, for them to actually, do the business, do it properly, get the training. That's why Stephen Amell had decent matches with everyone, was because he put in the work. He put in the training with Cody. He put in the training in the WWE Performance Center. Regardless whether you like him or you don't, he drew eyes to the product. He helped intrigue to the product. He helped bring money into the product. Because if he didn't, why would they keep calling him back? Why would they keep going? Why would he not? Why would he be in both WWE and AEW, even though Arrow sucks? And I'm not a fan of it. And yeah, hot take, I don't care. Arrow was great for the first couple seasons. It turned into trash, just like The Flash. Fight me.
Number one, sir. Number one, real quick, and I have to do this. How dare you? Stephen Amell, different case altogether. DWL Jack Spade is freaking amazing. That man is a wrestler in a damn actor's body. And to clarify the record, Drew Carey threw himself over the Rumble. And dude,
it was Kane's elimination. He may have threw himself over the top Rumble, but it's always a Kane moment.
Oliver Queen died to save everybody. How dare you?
All I gotta say is I just wanted to see Jericho and Mickey Rourke go at it. That's all I wanted to do. One punch. That's all we got. Come on, we could have had a match.
My final thing, just to my point to wrap it up, is WrestleMania 1 proved that celebrities help bring intrigue into the product, because the celebrities helped WrestleMania 1 even be successful. Like Muhammad Ali, Billy Martin, the Rockettes, Cyndi Lauper, all these people helped actually get ticket buys and get people in butts into the seats. So celebrities since WrestleMania 1 have always been a part of professional wrestling in a sense, and they've always brought intrigue and eyes into the company. Even those crappy USA Network guests do bring eyes to the company, because it makes people watch their stupid shows even if it's bad.
People love psych. Don't you do that.
You have Stone Cold on a really, really bad, mediocre show, but people are going to tune into that episode because there's Stone Cold on it.
Now you're crapping on USA shows.
Yeah.
Monk was great. Psyched was great.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of any other ones that did promotions with wrestling.
Chuck.
Law and Order had an Goldberg on the
Chuck. He appeared once, so then Stone Cold was an antagonist into it. That episode was crap.
The Rock was an alien in Star Trek. He hit the rock bottom.
I forgot about that.
Goldberg wore an X on a football jersey. Come on.
Do you remember what Star Trek that was?
That was Was it Deep Space Nine? I think it
Oh,
was.
I think it was Deep Space Nine too.
Okay, we'll move on to the points here. Curtis brought up good points. I think he is correct. No matter how bad they do bring a certain intrigue from the outside. So Curtis does get a point. I think Jeff gets the other point. So unfortunately, that eliminates Jay from season 1 here. He will be back for season 2, so we'll catch him when season 2 kicks off, probably February. Right after football season. We'll bring around the Jabroni back for season 2.
Oh, I'm not coming back for season 2. I'm a Linter blazing this thing. I just got screwed over. This is we're not all in Dallas, but this is the Dallas, wherever Jeff is upstate, wherever Sarah's at in New York, and wherever Curtis is in Canada. It's all that screw job. It's the North American screw job. There we go.
Well,
So
there
does
you
this
go.
mean we'll see you in that monster truck soon?
Damn right.
Okay, awesome.
Okay. So Jeff, you are currently our leader. For the final question, do you want to answer first, or do you want Curtis to answer first?
I'm gonna have him answer first.
Ooh, I like it.
All right.
Nice
All
job.
right. So Curtis, our final question revolves around Nick Wayne. He recently did an interview over the weekend talking about who he wanted to wrestle in the future. Nick Wayne making headlines last year. He is the underage wrestler from the Pacific Northwest, was offered a AEW contract at an indie show from Darby Allin. We see other countries where a lot of their big stars start from early age, 14, 15, 16. Why don't we see that more here in the US and Canada? And should we even see more minors becoming stars like Nick Wayne?
For me, and this just may be because I'm part of like wrestling productions and I kind of know the little bit of the ins and outs, at least as far as indie scene goes. I feel like there's not enough people that care. There's not enough people that have the heart and drive like your Will Ospreys, your Kenny Omegas, your guys that started off in bingo halls and doing $50 a show or a hot dog and a handshake, but we're going everywhere, putting on amazing 5-star matches, putting their heart into this business as much as you could ask for as a fan and as someone that's working backstage and hiring you for a promotion. I feel like there's too much comfortability within the indie scene that there's just too many people that are either overprotective of their spots and get comfortable with their spots that they don't want to branch out into other territories, so you never hear about them. But then you have the people that have the heart, like Daniel Garcia, who was working in my town that I work in, my promotion that I work in now, Barry Wrestling, that were working in front of like 50 people in a church, going from that to literally being signed in AEW about a month before I even started with the company. So I mean, there's people out there that have the heart. It's just there's not enough people out there that want to put in the work, go into the other territories, get their name out there because they're just too comfortable either with their spots or they're just too comfortable being in their certain territories, and they're either too scared to go out of that territory and try to make a difference and show that they actually care, or there's just too many people that just go through the motions and they're just like, I'm just here for a check, I'm just here for a check, I'm just here for a check, and there's not enough heart. So I just feel like there's just overall, there's just not enough heart in the scene, and the people that you find are very few and far between, and that's why companies that I work for in indie wrestling hold on to those kind of people. I can name people that you guys probably never even heard of that are from Buffalo, like Myung Jae Lee. You've heard of Puff, and you've heard of people like Pretty Ricky and people like this in the Ontario scene, but that's because these are the people that actually have the heart, that actually care, that go out of their comfort zone and try to make a difference and show that they can provide for the business. So, not enough heart, not enough people that are fully into this business and just doing it for a hobby, I feel.
All right, Jeff, what do you think?
Well, my personal opinion is minors in wrestling should be kept to high school. I mean, I'm sorry, but I think that personally, in a business such as professional wrestling, you should be a certain age to be able, just like there are other jobs out there where you have to be a certain age to do that specific job. Like, let's just say the Army, you have to be 18. You have to be, if you work in a liquor store, you have to be a certain age for that. I think personally, professional wrestling, you have to be a certain age to do this. If you're a minor, you should be on the wrestling team in high school and focusing on that. I'm not saying that they're not athletic, or capable even to do this. But I just think that in a world where you could do this many, many years ago, say Rey Mysterio, he was 14 when he broke it. Okay, fine. I mean, that was also in Mexico. They have different rules and different regulations and different standards. But I think as far as a big company like WWE, big company like AEW, even Impact and Ring of Honor, I believe these major companies should have a age limit of where you can enter as a competitor, because you have to go through the training. Could take 3 months, it could take 3 years. I mean, we don't know. Everybody trains at a different pace. But I believe that you should not be able to enter a company like this before you reach the age of 18, especially before you're out of high school. I mean, that's the big thing. If you're in college, that's one thing. If you're in...
Do you know the actual legal age of getting into professional wrestling?
I don't know, but it should be 18.
It's 16. It's 16, and you need your parents' permission in order to actually do it.
Wait, I'm sorry, but if I was a parent and I had my 16-year-old saying, it'd be like, wait 2 years and then we'll talk. Because I'm just saying that I believe that you're, as a kid or as a teenager, you're more liable to get hurt a lot easier.
Which is why they don't let them perform until they're 16 of age.
Right, but they shouldn't let them perform. But I still say that they shouldn't let them perform until they're 18. Certain jobs have certain age restrictions. I think wrestling should be one of them. Yeah, they say 16. I don't think 16 should be it. I think it should be 18.
But why?
For reason, I mean, first of all, 16, you're a minor. If the parents consent, the kid gets injured.
You're able to go into the working field when you're 13, and you can also be injured into your working field as well.
For certain jobs.
You have to get in any job. In any job, you could be injured. You could slip on a floor. You could crack your head.
Right. No, you have to be certain age to enter jobs.
Yes.
Certain age.
Just like in professional
I don't
you
think
have to be 16 or older in order to perform.
And my personal opinion,
you can train underneath your parents' guidance. Your parents have to be with you at the training center as you do it, and you have to. And there's a liability sign to it. That's just how professional wrestling has always.
And that's all fine and dandy with how they work, but I believe that they shouldn't be allowed to.
I believe that's gatekeeping and saying that people can't do what.
I believe that's called protecting your child, making sure they don't get hurt.
If they weren't protecting their child, they wouldn't come in.
This was my answer on that one anyway. So that is my response.
All I'm saying is if they weren't protecting their child, they wouldn't have came in and signed them up and signed the liability papers and asked the questions and actually got them to sign.
And I'm just saying this should be 18, not 16.
All right. So we'll end that here. I do kind of agree with Jeff a little bit more here. It is kind of, iffy. I know certain areas do have different rules. But like how Jeff did say, the body is still growing at the age of 16. I believe certain aspects of training could happen, earlier. But as far as getting more into the deep stuff, perhaps we should wait. So I think Jeff did get the point on this one. Thank you guys everybody for joining us, and we'll see everybody back soon. Have a great night, everyone.